What's up, y'all? I am back with another book review, and today I will be discussing TriggaDale by Elijah Freeman. This is gonna kind of be like a two-part review because I'm gonna talk about the series and then I'm gonna talk about the author because I got some shit to say. Good shit too. So, TriggaDale is the chronicle of everyday struggles of gang life in Riverdale, Georgia. We see the main characters go from jack boys to drug dealers to we see it all. Like, we see it all. It's an accurate representation. Um, Reading this book had me trying to remember if I've ever come across any of these gangs in real life, if I've been to any of these places that were mentioned in the book in real life. This book was kind of like, damn, this shit happened right under your eyes and you ain't know it. Like, it felt so real. Like, the places, the people, like, it all felt so fucking real. The characters that I'm gonna be discussing, there are only maybe 6 of them. The first character is Huncho. So Huncho, when we meet Huncho in this series, I didn't like him off rip. Like, he just moved so grimy to me. And it wasn't even like he was grimy to his gang members unless they did something that required him to be grimy. It was just everybody else. He was grimy. Like, Huncho, when we meet him, he didn't give a fuck. He didn't care. He was all about the streets. Like, but for me, the best part of this series was watching Huncho grow from street nigga to businessman. Like, and when I say that, like, we see Huncho as a jack boy, we see Huncho as a drug dealer, we see Huncho as kind of the plug for the plug, we see Huncho as a father, we finally see Huncho, as a significant other that, finally showed like some care and concern for his girl. So for me, the growth of Huncho was what I enjoyed most about this series. The next character, the next 3 characters that I'm gonna talk about were Huncho's right hands, so to speak, throughout this series. The first one is Flame. Flame and Rock. I'm gonna talk about Flame and Rock. They related some kind of way. I think they're cousins. And Flame and Rock to me were Huncho's voice of reasons and times where he was like tossing ideas about how to handle different situations. So like he sounded off with Flame and Rock. Unfortunately, by the end of TriggaDale 3, Rock is no longer feeling Huncho and he branch out and do his own thing, which is, it's not a bad thing that he branched out to do his own thing. I just think that his reasons should have been explained, because if this your man, this your homie, this your right hand, you been his right hand, and this your brother, so to speak, like, you need to give him a reason. Like, don't just, turn your back on him because you feel a certain type of way about a certain situation without saying shit. Like, don't get me wrong, I get why Rock did it. Like, I definitely understand why Rock did it. But I just feel like it could have been a conversation that was had for an amicable beginning without them separating. The next character I'm going to talk about is Perp. Perp is probably a character that I wanted to see more of. I wouldn't mind getting a Perp story just so like we could have his backstory. But for me, I liked Perp character in this series because he provided Huncho with like that guidance. He provided Huncho with that, vision of being something other than a street nigga. Like he gave Huncho the blueprint. Like he provided Huncho with the blueprint. So for me, that was good. The next character I'm gonna talk about is Shooter. Shooter is a character that I would have wanted to see more of because I just feel like his character could have been something great for this series. You know, at some point, I just, I was sad when Shooter died because, like, I felt like with this book, like I watched all these characters grow up and become men and do different things in their own right. And it just, I felt like, Shooter could have been a character that could have been saved. So the messages that honestly, when I first started reading this series, the first thing I thought, like after chapter 5 or 6 was it's always a bitch that caused a nigga to fall. Like when a nigga, like, it's always a bitch. Like, and I don't just mean like any bitch. When I say bitch, I do mean female. I just think that in this series, a lot of the dudes' downfalls were a lot of the characters who died. Downfalls were tied directly to a man, not a man, a woman, a woman. And it's crazy. Like this book really shows you like how sometimes men think what they did without like really thinking all the way through. The crazy thing with this book is like a lot of times when I've read books that display gang life, you don't see the female aspect of this life. Like most times these books focus on the men, but not TriggaDale. TriggaDale showed the women in this story. Like you see the women set up other men for licks. You see the women, set up other men to be murdered. And like that's crazy to me. And like I know that, there are female gang members. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like it's never really shown in books. For me, this book really showed me like sometimes if you not even sometimes, like most times if you're doing the crime, it's best to do it by yourself because your co-defendant might turn on you. Like I think a lot of Huncho problem was he was too trusting of the people around him. Huncho, he was bred in the street, like he was, and he lived by a street code. All these people did, but it was just, the weaker ones who, turned state evidence. And for me, that's crazy. Like, you had females turning straight evidence against Huncho. You had people that he was defending turn state's evidence against him. You had people who didn't even fuck with him turn state's evidence against him. Like, it was just fucking crazy. I think my favorite part of the book was when Huncho woke up in jail. Like, I'm not gonna tell y'all why, but just know that if you read this book, by the end of book one, you're gonna be scratching your head like, what the fuck? And for me, book one was the book that really made me, want to fight the author. Because I spent like all this time investing in these characters. And then, at book one, he just, snatched that shit from under me. But nevertheless, my rating for this series is a 5 because the characters felt real. The places are definitely real. The situations that they were in, I felt like I was right there with them. It was authentic. The writing was impeccable. Grammar errors where, because I ain't find none. I wouldn't change anything about this series. Like, I think as a reader, like, we always try and find something to change. I lied, but I can't tell y'all what I would change because it gives away too much of the story. But there is something that I would change. If you've read this book, then hop in my DM and we can, go back and forth about what we'll change. All three of these books were bangers. I definitely enjoyed watching Huncho grow up. I definitely think that this book needs to be on everybody's summer read list. Like, there's no way around it. TriggaDale, cop that shit. It's a 5-star read. This portion of my video is dedicated to Elijah Freeman. He's currently in jail, and he is literally the hardest working author I've encountered within the last 6 months. And I mean, with the promotion for the TriggaDale series was one that I have not seen ever. He has a mixtape out for TriggaDale 1 and 2, and the mixtape for TriggaDale 3 is in the process of being made. That was different. I've never seen an author compile a list of songs strictly related to the book. Like, each song on the mixtape is directly something that happens in TriggaDale or is related to TriggaDale in one way or another. So that was different for me. Most times authors use love songs or rap songs by other people that they just relate to it, but no one has ever created an entire mixtape of original songs for their book or series. So that was different. Elijah also has merchandise as far as t-shirts out for TriggaDale. He, is someone that I see constantly posting, trying to get his book out there, and his hustle is amazing. Like, he literally hustles TriggaDale, and he does it all from behind bars. So that's a salute to him. For him to be in his predicament and still have the motivation to create something great and still have the motivation to do it despite his circumstances, that says a lot about his characters. So if not for nothing, go check TriggaDale out for that reason alone.